Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, and I'm here with a different kind of video. It's an Elsword one for who knows how long it took me to make one. I'm taking a page out of Branko's book because he's been covering a few things with the upcoming reboots, and as far as I can see here, Aisha's got some very interesting changes. She's the only one I'm covering because she's the only one I really care about. Branko is probably going to cover the entire thing for the third patch, and anybody that wanted to see stuff like second or first patch, there's YouTube videos about it. I'm not covering anything but Aisha because I mained her for 6+ years. She's the one I really want to cover the most, so there you go for that one. But anyways, because of the fact that I've mained Aisha for so long, I've actually made Metamorphy for that long. I've eventually got it, well, they're not even at Aether Sage and Oz Sorcerer yet, but I do know what they can do because I've been paying very close attention to all that. So I can give my input on this. Remember, this is my opinions. There are some things that are pure fact I'm going off of, though. But I'll let you know if it's an opinion or not. So starting off, here's Gus Screw. As you can see, it's getting deleted from base Aisha. Now, here's a fact. Gus Screw had low cooldown compared to a lot of the other strength skills. So did Lightning Bolt as well. But that said, its real draw point was the fact that it actually had a low cooldown. So with cooldown reduction, you can rapid fire it pretty quickly, almost as fast as a tenacity skill. But the problem with it is that it didn't do too much damage. So almost nobody used it. You'd be kind of hard pressed to find a few Aisha players that use it. I happen to be one of them, only if I needed magic damage on my Metamorphy, because she's physical based, as you know, and then magic damage is sometimes needed, which makes me wonder how they're going to handle that now that everybody's going to one or the other. But that's the whole thing with that. And before I even continue further, what I mean by sometimes needed is the fact that if you're doing the secret dungeon with the Sod Inspector, you absolutely need both unless you can somehow do enough damage to bypass all that crap. So if you're on par with that guy, you're going to have trouble unless you party up and make sure at least one person's physical and one person's magical. The other thing is that sometimes enemies get buffed where one defense gets massively spiked. So quite frankly, it's just use the other one or you're going to have to deal a lot more damage in that case too. Not really threatening unless you're dealing with heroic enemies, because some of them can actually get that. But that's what I mean by this. Gus Screw was really only one of my go-to magic damage skills. Unfortunately, it's deleted now, and it really isn't that much of a setback, honestly. So that's the whole thing with that. Especially since I'm going to end up having everything physical based on my Metamorphy. Everything already was magical for the other two routes, so there you go. But, protection. What this seems like, and it is probably Gus Screw's replacement, but what this seems like is it may end up being, another Mana Shield or something along those lines, because honestly, Aisha's got an evasion move and teleport. They just need to change it so you can sip and do it in mid-combo, because it's already going on cooldown in PvP. Unless they somehow get it in cooldown on dungeons, I don't know. But protection sounds like it might be a Mana Shield type of thing. Now, for those of you that don't know, Mana Shield used to be an old Aisha skill where it put a protective bubble around her that reduced the damage she took. It was like a direct damage reduction. And then, it only lasted for a certain amount of time. Or if you took too much damage, the bubble actually popped. But, I do know that Aether Sage now has that built in with one of her skills. I think it was Shining Body. So I'm thinking they're probably bringing it back for everybody for the protection thing. But I haven't seen any Shining Body changes. I don't know. This is either her evasion skill or something along the lines of Mana Shield. That's my idea of what they're doing with protection. So it's not fact. What is fact, though, is that they're changing how Lightning Bolt works. I don't know how, but the only feasible thing I can think of is the stun getting removed. So, Who knows? Or maybe it'll just deal like less hits but more damage. Who knows? But going into some class specific stuff, starting with the Aether Sage line, Elemental Master has got a feature where they can recover MP by using certain skills. It says certain fire magical skills. So that Gust Screw would have helped with that, but it's gone. But Illis Mana was already something that boosted their max MP. Having a feature to help them recover even more MP is kind of overkill. But who knows? In the grand scheme of things, when you get to the later parts of the game anyways, you're probably guzzling down MP potions anyway. Some classes actually do have very good MP gain, but I don't know something like this is even going to get used. Now, Elemental Affinity is an interesting one because it changes the buff per stack. So that means overall she's getting more magical damage. It's going to jump up from 7.5% more to 12% more. Which is kind of interesting. I mean, it will definitely buffer damage for some stuff in dungeons and in arena, so that's something to know. Circle Flame, it's getting its rank change, meaning it's getting its damage adjusted. That's a given. It says its features have also changed, so I don't know how that's going to work. But Circle Flame used to be one of the best flexibility skills for Aisha until they made it exclusive to one class. Because it did so many hits and so much damage, it was ridiculous. I used to use it when I was able to go on Dimension Witch with it. But since they moved it to the Elemental Master section, there you go for those classes. Fire Ring, it's got its stuff affected. I don't know what they're going to do with that. But the ring moves aren't really used too much. I mean, they do have guaranteed hits if you're close enough to something, but they're really only for like PvP catches. So I don't know. Icicle Spear is the interesting one because a lot of people said that its damage wasn't all that great. Me personally, I can see where they're coming from, but it's still usable enough because I don't think it was meant to be a bossing skill, but more of a clearing one. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting because it's losing its heavy trait, meaning heavy gives a massive damage increase in exchange for upping the cooldown, I do believe. But it's going to evil, which is the MP burn. So, in arena, this is going to be pretty bad to deal with. Elemental Master's now got an MP burn right there. And given that it's a high cost skill, it's probably going to burn a lot of MP. So, keep that in mind. Double casting. Going from Cyclone to Circle Flame can kind of hurt a little bit because I know Mod Cyclone is a very good skill. But even an unmodded one can be a little bit of a, it could be a little bit of a hit check type of thing because it'll go in a straight line pretty slowly. And it's a little bit hard to avoid, actually, if you're not jumping correctly or anything. It's a nuisance. But, it's going from Cyclone to Circle Flame, so when you use Icicle Spear, it will go into Circle Flame instead. Now, here's where it looks like it hurts. The MP cost increase rate for the chain skills has been reduced, meaning that Circle Flame would have cost 20%. Now it's down to 50. So, yeah. It's going to cost more MP than normal to double cast now, unfortunately. And then the chain skill is doing 70% of the skill's original damage, kind of like a memorize. So, yeah. It's essentially a lower cost memorize now. That kind of hurts. But, Sage's Wisdom, the MP increase feature is gone. That's probably going to sit Aether Sage down to 400. So maybe the MP gain on the other skill actually could help a little bit, but who knows. Now, here's where we start getting into some interesting stuff. Dark Cloud for Dark Magician. It says features have changed. Maybe it got turned back to purple instead of green. But, maybe it got turned back to green instead of purple. I don't know. But, Who knows? It might not even have the poison. I don't know. It just says features change. There's no real info. Mana intake is going to hurt a lot because this skill is deleted. This, for those that don't know, and it seems to have been overlooked in the comments quite a bit, mana intake is the ability where Dark Magician was able to draw MP from her enemies. They gutted her MP game basically. You now have to combo for it. In Arena, this is going to hurt very badly. She actually... That's a bad move. They really shouldn't have removed that one. Dark Web is a new skill, so hopefully if it has the MP drain, there you go. But I doubt it since it's going to cost 200 MP anyways. Shadow's Contract. Now, this is going to go hand in hand with the next one, so that's why I'm going to read them both. But, Shadow's Contract is having its MP increase changed. I mean, MP, max MP added, so that's going to be a new feature for that. But in return, Energy Discharge is getting its MP modified. So, it's getting a massive drop. It's like 20% of what it used to be. So you're only getting like 50 max from Energy Discharge. Shadow's Contract needs to actually go up by... It needs to make your MP go up by quite a bit in order to actually counteract the MP changes. And honestly, I don't think it's going to... I think it's all going to bounce out to about 400 or 450 MP. Because, unfortunately, it just seems like they're hell-bent on having everybody have at least 400 MP. But not too much more, if that. So, that said, rip having 500 MP or whatever, unless you go get items and special stuff for that. But, yeah, that's the whole thing with that. Sad to say, that's probably something that's going to stay. And this is actually a buff for her. Liberate at Will has its detection range adjusted. So what that means is, if an enemy's within 400, whatever the range that means, of your Void Princess, then she doesn't have that skill in effect. It's now changed to 250, meaning she can be a little bit closer and still have that skill in effect. Because most people misunderstand how she works in this case, but Void Princess is meant to stay back from a distance to get that damage increased. Now she can be a little bit closer, sure. But that's the whole thing with this. Now, Dark Ring is the same thing as Fire Ring. I'm not going to repeat that. Plasma Cutter is the interesting one because it says array's size and the location's been adjusted, so we'll see how it's going to work. We'll see. But here's the stuff I was really excited for, and quite frankly, they did so much. Oh man. Starting off with Battle Magician's fitness ability. All magical to physical. So, those of you that actually were using Gust Storm, despite her being a physical class, you got more of a reason to. There you go. You're welcome. But, that's not all. They upped her physical damage increase from 6% to 10%. That was a very welcome change as well. But it's going to go hand in hand with some other stuff you'll see later down the line. I mean, we're already getting some interesting stuff right here. Like Magic Staff, the knockdown decrease rate is cut from 40% to 20%. I sort of understand why they did that, looking at some stuff later down the line. But, Magic Staff also had an interesting little effect where it's like an extra hit that can sometimes trigger, and it deals splash damage. Meaning if you get like 3 enemies that up and got triggered it, you'll see like 12 hits pop up on screen. But, this is the biggest thing about this. Its damage has been increased. The splash damage has gone up from like 345% whenever it triggers to 5,200. It has gotten almost, well, actually, it probably is 15 times stronger. But it's almost 20 times stronger. It really is. It's got such a huge buff. It's kind of like the, it's kind of like the little shockwave thing that, Night Emperor had. I forgot what it was called. But yeah. Now here's where some stuff gets a little weird. Space Leap has been changed, so instead of additional damage when you teleport, it's now critical damage. Honestly, that took a little bit of a hit from her because additional damage is more useful than a critical. Because you need to socket critical in order to get critical damage. Additional damage is just there and piles on top of critical. But, hey, I guess as long as it keeps the same buff time of like 20 seconds, then it's still cool. But, Librate at Will. This was a big change. This was a very, very, very big change. Now, what Librate at Will does, before I even get into what the change is, it allows Dimension Witch to actually use any of her physical damaging moves, like special actives or combos, and it will land a debuff that reduces the enemy's defense by 10%, physical defense. And it lasts for 15 seconds, but you can't recast it until 7 seconds on that enemy. So that means I can get one hit in, their defense is reduced by 10%, and for 7 seconds I can't put it on again. When you put it on again, it stacks and resets the timer. So it will reset the timer to another 15 seconds, but it will be 20%, then 30%. It can keep going until you remove the defense altogether. Now that I've explained that, 7 seconds to 2 seconds for reactivation time. Yeah. For those of you that aren't following, that means that instead of 70 seconds to fully reduce somebody's defense, it now takes 20 minimum. She can do that very, very quickly. You will see your defense plummet. I get the feeling this is going to get changed later down the line, because that's disgustingly strong. Megaton Press, I have no idea what that is, because this is a skill that just got added. My guess is it's kind of like Guillotine Press or Heavy Press or something along those lines. Wormhole got deleted. This is probably why Megaton Press is there. But Wormhole kind of hurts because it's a deceptively strong skill. First off, because it was a flexibility skill, it was able to trigger any proc effects, which I don't think it would trigger the magic staff it hits, but it did trigger anything like your weapon elements or your title effects. I could even leave it lingering on something or a group of enemies and my pet still attacked them. It was a nice skill because it also pulled enemies in, and while they're getting pulled, they couldn't do any skills or special moves. And then it also did a lot of damage as long as they could actually stay within the effects of Wormhole, as in the little area that actually kept hitting you. Because it was a flexibility skill doing over 4,000% damage. Yeah. But the whole thing with that is that now Wormhole's gone, unfortunately, so its power, it's probably going to be forgotten in time now, because not too many used it to begin with. It was a deceptively strong skill. Simple as that. Space Distortion, I'm more worried about the feature changes, but it doesn't explain anything, but now you get it a lot sooner. But Space Distortion is a very good skill as well. I really like the mod one. Mod Distortion is pretty fun. But even the normal one is pretty good because it had a lot of counter capabilities. Now, Air Stunner, this one's interesting because it says the attack effect has changed, so now you can't perform any actions after 1 second. So that means when you're hit by Air Stunner, you're probably getting Power Stun now instead of regular stun, meaning you can't resist it. That's one hell of a buff if I can see it. Energy Ring's the same case as Fire and Dark Ring, I'm not going to worry about it. Impact Zone's the interesting one because it says that the movement speed is greatly increased and now goes through walls, but the damage is also adjusted. Honestly, there's a issue with it a while back where it was able to dish out disgustingly strong damage because it got stuck to some walls, but that's only if it actually went to a wall. So it was dishing out like 32,000% damage originally. Now you need a wall in order to do its full damage to even make it worthwhile. But this change means it now goes through walls regardless of what happens. But it also they also said the movement speed got increased and the damage got adjusted. Honestly, I feel like it should get at least a good, I'd say 2,000 to maybe 4,000% damage per hit, depending on how fast it goes. Because otherwise it's not really going to feel like a bravery skill. Plus, they didn't change mod version anyways. Okay, makeup and chance a really interesting one too, because the max MP increase is lowered, but the special active damage increase is 50% stronger. You get 15% instead of 10%. So, whenever she's under magical makeup, she's dealing 15% more special active damage. It's pretty much an all skill damage for the most part. A free all skill damage. And they got buffed, so that's even better. And something else that got buffed, Do You Want to Get Wrecked is a skill where if enemies have too much HP, like it said 60% or more, she's dealing extra damage. I think it's like 10% more or something like that. Now half HP or more. So that's a buff. The threshold's increased. Now this is the last one, and it's kind of weird, but mod energetic body is just nothing compared to the original, because while you do take way less damage, you deal way less damage, and a lot of stuff is just not really all that great. The original energetic body can do a number of things. It increased your physical attack power, it increased your MP gain, it allowed you to have skills with shorter cooldowns. It did a number of stuff when you got to the metamorphy state. The original energetic body is still superior, period, point blank, but the mod one, I'm not sure how good it is now, because you have skill buff effect change where you now get super armor. I'm glad they finally gave some form of energetic body super armor back, but on the negative side, the damage increase is now reduced to 50%, which is lower than what it was before. I forgot what it was, but originally when it came out, it was a 90% damage reduction. This is about half that now at this point. And worst off, the effect is removed after 5 hits, meaning that your super armor could probably get taken out too. Who wants a skill that lasts for 5 hits? It's bad enough that the skill itself doesn't last that long anyways. But yeah, so skipping past all of this stuff, because while I did play some of these classes, I do have a Labby as well. I don't really care about it too much. But yeah, there's a lot of different comments like, did they gut Oz like a fish? Nah. They didn't gut her like a fish. They gutted her MP access like it. And they did buff one of the Labbies. They didn't buff the other two, from what I've seen. There's Branco's comment. He's being a bit of a troll, but it's kind of a meme at this point where Oz Sorcerer always gets nerfed. And a lot of people aren't too happy about that MP with nerf. Makes sense though too, because she had the hardest time getting an MP among all the Aishas, and they just made it worse. But yeah, Evac's finally gone. Rip Ravens. But let's see here. Yeah, they slid Oz's MP gain, unfortunately. Like new ad skills and all that type of stuff. Yeah, these comments are kind of random. I don't really go too much through them unless I see something that really is worth replying to. I'm not going to reply to Branco's comment though. But yeah, overall, I think Aisha's gotten pretty much adjusted quite a bit. Can't say it's good for some classes, but the metamorphy routes got spiked in buffs. She honestly didn't really need them. I mean, I still welcome them, but she really didn't need them. Metamorphy was a very good class. It's just people didn't really take the time to use her. or learn how to use her. But now she's just far more powerful. I don't even need to do any sort of adjustments to my metamorphy. Just getting all these changes is going to spike the living hell out of her. So, yeah. And then Air Stunner might even be viable in PvE if it does Power Stun, because it'll even knock bosses out of crap. They can't resist that. So, yeah, there's that. But if you want my overall rating on some things, base Aisha is a little bit changed. I don't know how to really describe it. Not too many use the stuff that base Aisha had anyways, at least among those 3 skills. Or should I say 2, really? Aether Sage did get a little bit of a buff. In some cases, it seemed like she got useless changes, and in one, she got nerfed. But overall, I think she came out better. All Sorcerer took one hell of a hit. I can't say it any other way. Regardless of what they did with her other stuff, the fact that she has less MP access is going to hurt her badly in Arena. And it's going to be noticeable in dungeons too. You're going to MP Potion chug the crap out of that class, so yeah. As far as it goes with Metamorphy, like I said, they buffed the ever-loving crap out of her. I mean, her physical damage is going to shoot through the freaking roof. It's going to be almost like when they just came out with the previous rebalances, where she was dealing like 20,000 damage per hit in Arena. It's going to be that bad again. Oh, what a time to be a Metamorphy main. But yeah, that said too, I'll probably do some more Elsword videos on Metamorphy when I get the chance. Once this stuff kicks in on the NA server. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, guys. More of this definitely will come soon when this hits North America, because I want to see what the hell they did to Metamorphy. I really do. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. It doesn't matter that some skills got set back, or some that was very good got deleted. She got so many buffs, it's disgusting. But yeah, you can tell I'm actually kind of hyped about it. But anyways, that's all for this, guys. More of this definitely will come soon at some point. I just can't say when right now. But I'm going to go back to my normal stuff for Kami Hime Project and all that type of stuff for videos until then. But for now, guys, take care.